As one of the oldest associations in higher education, ACUI dates back to 1914, when it was founded by a group of students. And through more than half of our history, the association operated completely under the leadership of volunteers. While the association experienced stops and starts in its first quarter century due to inconsistent gatherings of volunteer student leaders, it eventually matured into a well-organized collective of several dedicated union professionals. The first elected volunteer role on record was Secretary-Treasurer in 1922, which managed correspondence, kept the association's books, and prepared reports. The responsibilities of that position soon became greater than one man could accomplish, and an editor of the association's bulletin was then appointed in 1936. Despite difficulties in hosting annual meetings during times of war through the 1940s, association volunteers remained active, publishing ACUI's first book, conducting benchmarking studies, and taking action on public policy issues such as union dues and a campaign to build unions as war memorials. As enrollment in higher education increased following World War II, association involvement and membership also saw a boom. To meet the needs of the expanding membership, regions were first established in 1948, enabling more localized collaboration. Additionally, volunteer committees emerged to develop new programs and services related to recreation, product exhibits, research, and professional relations. By the mid-1950s, the constant growth of the membership had outpaced what the Volunteer Executive Committee could effectively manage, and the association struggled to define its basic philosophy and structure.
To help define the purpose of the association, volunteer leaders engaged in philosophical dialogue within the higher education community over the purpose of the college union, publishing the first Role of the College Union statement in 1956. A committee on the future of the association debated the idea of a central headquarters and full-time executive staff. Instead, however, they proposed an expansion of volunteer positions to meet the needs of the membership. New elected representatives were created to advance the work of the regions, and positions were added to support the bulletin and the planning of the annual conference. Despite this expansion of volunteer roles, the demand for an association office became essential to manage correspondence starting in 1959, as did the hiring of the first full-time paid staff member in 1968. Governing documents and annual reports from the 1970s and 1980s also shed light on the emergence of new standing committees, which encompass three basic categories. Those which focused on planning the association's educational programs and services, those focused on promoting best practices and developing training resources based on functional areas within the profession, and more identity-based groups, which established voices of advocacy for inclusion and diversity within the association. The committee structure led to a notable uptick in educational resources available to members, and it served as a pathway for volunteer involvement. However, the appointment process for volunteers was unclear, and the increasing number of committees was described by some as unmanageable. Directories from this era reveal a representative and constituent-based volunteer structure that involved approximately 350 volunteers serving in standing committee and regional coordinator positions annually. The operations and governance of the association have become reliant on this large volunteer workforce, but member professionals were also facing increased demands in their jobs on campus. This, combined with the advancements in technology, pushed the association to look at the roles of volunteers and staff. New concerns over organizational liability and financial health became prominent, and ACUI was prompted to re-examine its structure and strategies.
In 1991, ACUI became incorporated as a 501c3 organization, which began to address concerns over liability, finances, and the evolving volunteer workforce. Soon to follow, an external review was conducted which led to a reinvention of the organization in 2001. Rather than being constituent-based, the association became a knowledge-based organization, which made the Board of Trustees more strategic, with the staff taking the lead on operations. A new membership dues structure expanded the number of individuals the organization could reach at member institutions. As more professionals and students became aware of ACUI's programs and services, more felt they had a voice in the organization, and they now sought volunteer roles. ACUI entered a new era of partnerships, modeling its mission as a community-building organization. It took on new business ventures to generate non-dues revenue that would help support the operation. Its new knowledge-based focus led to the adoption of the 11 core competencies for the college union and student activities profession, and former committees evolved into the current communities of practice. It experienced a rise in student membership, and programs for students grew significantly. And it began to focus on creating a culture of giving within the association to endow scholarships for professional development and support research on the college union. All of these factors created new volunteer opportunities which were primarily focused on advancing the content of the profession.
As ACUI celebrates 100 years of advancing campus community building, one thing is clear. This storied history would not be possible without people like you. Members who tell the college union story on campus, and volunteers who make the association's success possible. While volunteering for ACUI looks different today than it did in days past, still more than 350 individuals serve the organization in elected or selected roles annually, and the number of people experiencing the publications, programs, and services of ACUI annually continue to grow. Thank you for giving of your time and talents. We look forward to beginning the journey with you into the next 100 years of the Association of College Unions International.